Really, we're just wanting to know if we can get any kind of action out of it. But if the ignition switch works or not. All right, Curious Dude here with an update on Gus the Crunchy Bus. So today's focus, we are going to talk about the motor. So this is a 1700cc flat 4 Type 4 engine. I have never worked on a Type 4. I know basically what I've read in books and of course the Samba and talked to a few people, but this one will not run, obviously because it's missing a carburetor. And I'll show you a little bit more about that story in a bit. Allegedly ran 5 years ago, had some issues, wouldn't come down off high idle, and then the motor would kind of rev uncontrollably. So the previous owner drove it around a bit and then just pulled it off. Literally took the carb apart and put it in a box. And I'll give you a little tour of that later and show you more. So this is a Type 4 1700. This is the wrong intake system on here. It should have dual carbs. This serial number, if you look this up, this is I believe to be the original motor for the bus, and it should have come with dual carbs. We know that from the M plate, and of course from being the 72 model that it is, so that's something we need to look at. But before I spend any money on anything related to the powertrain, we want to kind of assess what we have or what we're working with, and so that's the focus of today. And so my son here will get a little help. So Chris, what did we say again do we need for this to run?
The fuel, air, and spark.
You got it, man. Fuel, air, and spark. So we're going to take some time to kind of look. We want to know if the motor's stuck. We're going to pull out the plugs. We'll check the plugs. We're going to check a little bit of the oil and see if there's any water in the crankcase. Shouldn't be, but possibility. We'll talk about fuel. And if everything goes well, actually, we're hoping we can hook up a battery and see if we can get this thing to at least turn to know that it's not stuck. Okay, more to come. Okay, so we'll do a little closer inspection. Some things we noticed right away. The alternator's loose, which really isn't going to matter for right now. There's oil in the crankcase, we've checked that. Squirrel cage is tight. We've got a host of issues going on with some electrical here. This looks to be unplugged. This red wire, I'll show you what this is traced back to in a moment. It makes a little bit more sense. Some sort of a yellow jumper that's tied to nothing. Adventures. You can see the back, you can see there's a fuel filter. So I'll show you underneath what they did. Obviously the mechanical fuel pump stopped working, so they put an electric pump on and they routed that through. There's a filter there, obviously where the carb was. Great news is that when he pulled the carburetor off, he sealed the intake system. So that's hopefully going to help us out a great deal. What else can we see here? Looks to be very, very stock and original, and yeah, so I think the next thing we're going to do is we are going to take a moment, we're going to pull some plugs out and we'll take a look at what we've got. All right, before we actually pull those plugs, let's take a closer look underneath here. Let's see. All right, rusty exhaust. What do we got going under here? We got some leaks. Obviously, that's part of having an air-cooled Volkswagen. Many leaks, although doesn't seem that bad, to be honest. Transaxle, and then we get up here, and here's what I was mentioning earlier, the fuel line. So the fuel line here comes up from the tank. You can just see it up the top through this filter. The hose is cracked. It's so that the tank is evaporated completely. But then there's a electric pump added on, which is great. And then this line here feeds up to where the carburetor was. So this red lead here coming off this pump is actually what's looked like it was hooked up directly to the coil. So we'll actually be able to add 12 volts and we'll see if this pump works. Obviously that's going to be a key part about whether we ever get fuel or how we get fuel into the engine. Okay, so we'll pull off cylinder number 1 and then my son will do the other ones, but we'll pull the plug and see now. So this 72 doesn't have a hatch from the cabin area. So this is like a nightmare to work on. You pretty much got to jam your head in here to see. So let's pull a plug and find out what they look like. Oh, there we go. There's plug number 1. And what do we see on there? I see remnants of anti-seize. Maybe evidence of a little bit of detonation. I'm not sure if it's a little bit of metal flakes, but I don't see mechanical damage or anything, so that's definitely a good sign. And it is a Champion N11YC. I'm not sure if that's the right plug for this or not, but it's something we'll check out. So that's number 1. Let's see what number 2 looks like. All right, we're pausing for a moment to talk about spark plug removal. A disclaimer, first of all, I am not a licensed mechanic. I mean, I've grown up around cars and a passion for, saving things, but over time you come across certain problems you need to solve. So I'm just going to share one that I'm going to use right away. So one of the issues with this Type 4 is that the number 1 cylinder and 4 cylinder, the cooling tin is very high up. So if I'm going to use, it's high up from the cylinder head. So you can see is that this tool actually will not hold a spark plug. So when I pull it out of the cooling tin, it's going to fall, it's going to be against the head. I'm going to have a nightmare trying to fish it out of there. So what we did is I took, and this is the same socket, but I modified it just slightly. And you'll notice that there's a rubber plug-in on the inside. And what I did was just take a piece of white plastic tie and cut it off, and I wedged it in between the socket itself and the rubber. And now, when we press down on the spark plug, it's like it was originally, it'll hold it. So it's going to make it easier to install and of course to remove, especially with cylinders 1 and 4. So now we'll go over and we'll attack that. So now we'll go down. And number 2, like I said, is really deep off of the cooling tin. And so there we go. Get on there. And there's number 2. And it looks a lot like number 1 did. A little white, some flecks on it. What I'm most interested in is no mechanical damage to it. And so a little sooty, but I can live with that. Okay, so that's number 2. There we go. Number 4. So number 4 definitely looks a little bit more soot on there, but it comes off really easy, but no mechanical damage on there. So that's what we want to see. Fantastic. Okay, so now we'll tack our last cylinder. And let's see what we have here. What do we have? We have a little bit more, no more carbon on this side, but again, no mechanical damage, which is kind of what we were looking for at first. So yeah, you can live with that. We'll put that back, put a little lubricant in the cylinder, and we'll put it back in. So we feel confident that the cylinders don't have any mechanical damage. So I'm going to try and spin the motor. It's in neutral. I've not tried this yet. Really hoping that it moves. We'll see. Put some tension on here. And we're just on the alternator. Pulley. Let's see here. Forgive my. Okay, let's go. Hey, look at it. It moves. It's not stuck at all. Very easily rotates. There's a little bit of compression. Fantastic. It's not stuck. Fantastic. Okay, so update. So we loosened the drain on the pan and all that came out was black oil. So good sign there's no moisture in the motor. So we know mechanically looks fine. It rolls over. This is all very good. We did a quick hot test on the fuel pump and the fuel pump was clicking. So we know that there's a little bit of, the pump is trying to work anyway. So next step is we're gonna try and add 12 volts and we'll see what happens. Hopefully no sparks, hopefully nothing melting, but maybe even a sign that maybe the motor even will click over a turn or two. Okay, so got this grounded, and what we're trying to do is just see what we got here. I can hear the fuel pump clicking, so that's a good sign. So next thing we're going to do, just going to get some reasonable connection on that. That is sketchy as can be. That's okay. We're not. Okay, come on in. Let's take a look. Okay, so the fuse box is underneath here. We've got 12 volts, like legit, from my running vehicle on. And we'll just see if we get any difference. Flashers flashed. Oil lights on. I'm gonna pop in. I think there's a lot of electrical stuff going on here. Really, we're just wanting to know if we can get any kind of action out of it. But the ignition switch works or not. Whoa! Did you hear that? Go back to the motor and I'll do it one more time. Success. All right, fantastic. So here's an update on the carburetor situation. I mentioned earlier, this bus should come with dual carburetors, and it does not have that. It has single carb. This is the carb that came with it. The owner had said it never ran right. It kept revving out of control. And so he took the carb apart and put it inside a Folgers can. And that's basically, to look at the older video, that's how we picked it up. So I went through, I carb soaked it, and I went through and I found through some internet sleuthing that this is a 34 TCIC. It's, I believe, a progressive carb that was available in the aftermarket back in the 70s and into the 80s. Anyways, you can't buy parts for this. And even worse, everything in red is a part that's missing inside the carburetor. There's several screws that were damaged, threads that were missing. There's binding. It is a mess. This is just going to be an ornament on the shelf. We're not going to do anything with this. But we're going to have to make a decision about the bus, whether we just spend the money now and get the dual carb set up, something like 34 Solexes or Cadrons or Webers. I mean, there's a million different options, and go back to the way it was originally, or whether I utilize the current intake and try and find a different 2-barrel on the cheap that we might use. Like, I think in the big picture, it's better to go back to the dual carb original setup. But if we can find a cheap carb for 50 bucks, maybe we'll have this bus rolling sooner than later. Very successful day. We know that the cylinders are okay. It will turn over. We know that there's no water in the crankcase. The plugs look okay. Electrically, there's enough connection there for it to even turn. And the electric fuel pump works, so don't even have to pull the tank. We can run it off of jerry can. So really successful day, really excited. Great update for Gus the Crunchy Bus. And thanks for watching. And stay tuned for more updates as we try and rescue this lost 72 Campmobile.